Every time I look up into the sky and I look at clouds, I just get a feeling of godliness. And I'm going to be speaking about that because it's quite something. I can't remember whether I felt... No, I have to profess that I didn't. These feelings, people, this feeling has come about since my introduction to DMT. Because when you take that God molecule, you know that you are God. It is God, everything is God, everything is wonderful, everything is incredible, everything's for you, and the world is perfect. And I spoke about this in a very recent video, and I've spoken about it in many videos since the advent of my introduction to the spirit molecule. There's something about the stillness of these clouds and the godliness, and the way the light shines on things and casts shadows and brings life and gives life and all these sort of things. When you remove the ego and all that's left is your essence, your consciousness, you are connected to cosmic God consciousness. And you feel it, you know it, you live it, you breathe it. And so, in my book, I speak about all these occasions when I was taking this substance, and occasions when I wasn't taking it. I was just out exercising, and then I'd stopped, and I'd looked up into the sky, and these incredible feelings came over me. So, I was listening to Alex O'Connor speaking to Richard Dawkins, two atheists, last night, an hour and a half conversation, and within that conversation, almost to the end, Alex posed a question, asking Dawkins if he thought there was any veracity in what the author C.S. Lewis once espoused. He stated this: because there is a discernible, apparent reason for why we have all of the instincts that we do have. They pertain to our survival. And why is it that we have this love for certain people? Because it pertains to our survival. It bonds us and it makes us care for one another. So there's a reason for all of the attributes of the human being. And so, why do we hunger? Why do we thirst? Why do we need to sleep? Why do we need to procreate? All of these urges, there is an evolutionary reason for them. And so C.S. Lewis was asking the question, surely when we, people, cultures all over the world, forever and a day, have had the notion that there is a God and that God created them, nurtures them, loves them, and all these sort of things. And he says that surely if human beings think that, intuit that, instinctively feel as if they know that, then there must be a God. Because otherwise, why would we have this deep yearning for connection of something that simply isn't there, when all other facets of the human being can be followed back to their root of having a purpose? So when we seek out this purpose of being connected and this notion of a God, a creator, and all this sort of thing, we could think on the face of it that, well, that's just fanciful belief. Because you could have a deep longing to have a relationship with the pop star or film star of your life, the apple of your eye. You could fantasize and yearn and have this deep yearning and say to yourself, why do I have this deep yearning for something which is unobtainable, which could never be? If we come back from the main focal point of that, then we could assess that is lust or love or desire or fantasy, all these sort of things. And so those things serve a purpose to us. And so Richard Dawkins, he absolutely dismissed the veracity, efficacy and the reasoning of why people all over the world forever have felt this connection. And so of course Dawkins has never taken psychedelics. He's never had a spiritual experience, and so he's absolutely bereft of spirit. And he will deny till the end of the earth that anything is spiritual. There is no spirit, period. That's Richard Dawkins. So he's found himself a very prominent niche, being the world's most prominent atheist. And anybody that wants to engage in a debate with atheists, then they choose Richard Dawkins, at least for this past 30 or 40 years. Now, Alex O'Connor, he's had a little bit of psychedelic experience, or entheogenic experience, and in my estimation, he's wiser than Dawkins. He's a very, very wise soul, and his mind is so critically clear, and he asks all the right questions and absorbs everything that's being said, and he can listen to somebody speak for several minutes, and then he'll go back to this point, that point, this point, and that point. He won't miss a single thing. He stores it all up like a computer. So he said that he thought that C.S. Lewis certainly had a point, because it cannot just be dismissed as a fantasy which serves nothing. Why have human beings been afflicted with this longing and yearning for the connection to our womb, to our mother, to our creator, to the dimension where we seem to belong, which isn't here? Why is it that most people don't seem to consider that they belong here? They seem to think that they come from somewhere else, which is far more beautiful. And of course, many people have written about these places. And of course, looking into Gnosticism like I'm at the minute, then that states that, our spirits have been trapped by the demiurge in this evil realm, in this physical realm. And our spirit knows that it doesn't belong here, because the spirit pertains and belongs to a spiritual world, i.e. like the astral world, where there isn't any suffering, there's no physicality, and there's no density. And so I think most certainly that C.S. Lewis is on the right track. I think that he most certainly is correct, that our desire, our longing, our intuition, our knowing that there's more is because there is more. And whether we'll find more in this lifetime or we'll have to wait until we pass on, who knows? But I consider that I found a certain avenue and connection with that thing that I really am, which I really belong to. And with my experiences of varying varieties, I felt this connection, and it's absolutely incredible. It's a feeling that doesn't normally pertain to the human being. It is in actual fact a state of ecstasy. It's a state that we cannot function within. It is just too much bliss. And feeling it from time to time just shows us, and it says to us, well, what do you think about this? You know what I'm speaking about the other day? You know, trying to get a bit of peace and quiet, and there's always something grinding, isn't there? Well, you know, it's a skill saw, or steel saw. I can see the dust coming up from over the hedge. Oh, wow. But, okay, anyway. So, feeling this connection with what we are at a higher level. Sure, we are this human being. For whatever reason, we're having this human experience, but it isn't all that we are. And so that was just a very interesting conversation. And I've read a couple of C.S. Lewis's books, because in recent times, Russell Brand had been introduced into C.S. Lewis's literature. And C.S. Lewis wrote a great deal on the notion of God and the reality of God, whatever we want to perceive it as. And he's got some very good points. And you see, when I make my videos, people, invariably I'm not hypothesizing, am I? I'm speaking about a reality as far as I'm concerned. I'm not making videos about this person said that person said that, oh, look over there at that person. You see, when you look online and you see all these people, we don't know a single thing about hardly any of them, do we? They're just mouthpieces. They're mouthpieces which bring information together. Very few people open up and speak about themselves in any meaningful way. And the thing is that I like about Alex O'Connor is that he does speak about himself, what motivates him, what drives him on, the reasons for why he took a degree in theology and in philosophy. Richard Dawkins says to him, he says, I can't imagine why anybody would take a degree in theology. He said, it's not a real subject, is it? And Alex says, well, it is a real subject, because what it does is it enables you to look deeply into what it is to be a human being. And then Dawkins went, well, I suppose there is that. You see, look, Dawkins, he really is bereft of any level of there's no divinity there for sure. There's no spirit, there's no divinity. So there's no intelligence. There's only egoic intelligence. That's just a program. He is 1000% a program, a human program. And he's got no idea, and he gives absolutely zero respect to trillions of people all over the world who have had spiritual, mystical experiences. He just goes, chemicals in the brain, and absolutely dismisses it with a level of vehement hate. And I can't help thinking, and I've said it before in other videos, that I would speculate that Dawkins, either he grew up in a Catholic family, or he was sent to a Catholic boarding school, and he became a bit of a plaything for these certain Catholics, because why else would you have such a vehement opposition to something like that? Being so-called so intelligent, there is a deep-rooted reason which absolutely prevents him from accepting it on any level, because he's been so devastated, so traumatized by something pertaining and relating to it. So, I feel what C.S. Lewis is saying. I just have to look. I feel and see the essence and presence of some godliness all around. And, you know, my God isn't any of the scriptures' gods. My God is everything. That's just what it is. And the closest anyone's ever really come to and make reference to is the God that Spinoza spoke about, which is the essence of the cosmos and the creator of all. It has no corporality, it has no presence, it has no gender or anything like that. It's just a supreme intelligence. And you could say that God could be the creator of the simulation. You know, because if we are actually in a simulation, then we have been created by what we could call God. The creator is a form of God. And so, you know, if we are in a simulation, or if we are a simulation. You see, people speak about being in a simulation. Well, if they are in a simulation, then that would make them like these people in the Matrix. They've been captured. Their souls, their very essence has been captured into some sort of a computer realm. But it could just be that we are not in a simulation, that we are actually a simulation. And if we are a simulation, then there is no existence to us whatsoever outside of the programmed notion that we exist and we are something. You see? And so this is the difference in what I'm saying as to most other people. Because when you listen to everybody else I've ever listened to, Nick Bostrom came up with this simulation hypothesis, and you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson and many others speak about it, and they all say that we're in a simulation. Whereas I, you know, go that extra mile and I go, well, we don't have to be in, because what you're doing is when you say we are in, you are still assuming that you are an autonomous real entity which has your own thoughts and, you know, has freedom, free will and all that sort of thing. But if we are a simulation instead of being in a simulation, then we don't exist at all. We are just a program, and me making videos like this is just a program programmed by the God that created the simulation. And so when we look into free will, and by the way, Alex O'Connor is an advocate for no free will, along with people like Robert Sapolsky and Sam Harris and you know, Jordan Peterson and lots of other people. We can see that this is too complicated for us to consider that we have free will, because there's too much going on, and simply because it is all one and we are all connected, how could we be free within it? How could we be free in any shape or form within this mass when it is only basically an idea? The cosmos is only an idea with nothing physical. So if there's nothing physical in it, then surely we are a simulation. And it's just a program. And so, when you look at it like that, when you come back from the fiction of your egoic sentience, your individuated consciousness, thinking that you are a human being and you are separate from the things around you and this, that and the other. Well, science will tell you that there's no separation. Nothing is separate. It's just an illusion, people. Just a delusion. And so if I'm feeling like I am connected to something, well, what am I feeling that I'm connected to? The simulation program? Do I recognise that I am the program? There is nothing different to anything except the program, and I am it. Am I recognising that? Am I recognising on some sort of level the intention of the programmer which programmed the simulation? Like God? Am I in connection with God because I realize that I am a simulation, I am a thought in his mind, I am a twinkle in his eye. That's all I am, but I'm connected to him, so I know his thoughts. Is that what's going on? A lot of questions, isn't it, people? A lot of questions. So anyway, leave you with that. Goodness me. Whew.